Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the webinar, Your Roadmap to Success, Family Council Terms of Reference. Thank you for joining me this evening. So the voice on your phone or on this recording, I am Samantha Peck. I am the Director of Communications and Education for Family Councils Ontario. You may know that we are the organization that supports family councils across the province, and our goal is to improve the quality of life and care for people living in long-term care homes. One of our primary services to family councils is education, and this webinar is going to help you learn more about an essential piece of family council structure and organization, your terms of reference. Tonight, we're going to be learning the who, the what, the why, and the how of family council terms of reference. Really the basics of what you need to know in order to develop or revise your group's terms of reference. I'm going to start with a quick question for you. What is the status of your council's terms of reference? So I'm going to ask you to select one of those options. We don't have one. We've started it. We have one completed. We have one, but it needs work. Give you a few more seconds. All right. So, looks like we've got completed terms of reference on the phone, which is great. Now, if your council has a terms of reference, when was it last revised? Within the last 6 months, within the last year, or more than 1 year ago? Doesn't mean you've completely redone it, but when was the last time you took a look at it as a group and did any revisions? Give you a few more seconds. Excellent, within the past 6 months. Good to hear. Revising terms of reference is really important because you need to make sure that that document meets the needs of your council at this point in time. So we always say at least revise it once a year, or when your needs change, perhaps membership turnover, new goals have come up. So it's great to hear that you've been revising them regularly. So who needs to be involved in developing or revising your terms of reference? The quick answer is everyone who's on your family council. And that's defined as an organized, self-led, self-determining, democratic group composed of the family and friends of the residents of a long-term care home. And this little puzzle here represents the 4 big family council goals: advocacy, support, education, and communication. So all of your activities should fit somewhere into these goals. Key points about a family council in general that you should know: family councils are in the legislation governing all the long-term care homes, the Long-Term Care Homes Act. Family councils have powers given to them under the law. So powers given to you by the Crown, not by any staff person or administrator at your home. The Long-Term Care Homes Act also says a little bit about membership in terms of who's entitled to be a member and who cannot be a member. So if you're not too familiar with those points, I'd encourage you to let us know, check out the resources on our website, take a look through the Act. It'll definitely help you in your success as a family council. So what's the terms of reference? It's the basic operating procedures of your council. When are you going to meet? Who can be a member? Who are you? Why are you here? How do you make decisions? What's your leadership model? And what does your council say about confidentiality during and outside of meetings? It shouldn't be a huge onerous document. So what we'll see is the major categories or the major sections of information that you really need to include in that document to make sure that you're going to be on your road to success. So let's get started. You'll always start your terms of reference with the name of your council. So something along the lines of the name of the organization shall be the St. Andrews Family Council. Then you're going to move on to your purpose or mission statement. And this can be a challenging statement to come up with because you may feel like you want to put a lot into it. It really needs to reflect your collective identity and your common focus. We'll talk a little bit about some points about how to develop this later on, but it could be something like the St. Andrews Family Council's mission is to improve the quality of life and quality of care for all residents by promoting an atmosphere of sensitivity, caring, and support among staff, friends, and family members of the residents of St. Andrews. So it's something that's talking about them as a group and their focus, atmosphere of sensitivity, support, and so on. Then you're going to move on to your goals. And your goals will likely relate to those 4 puzzle pieces that we talked about: communication, support, advocacy, and education. You want to keep them broad because you want your actions and your activities to fit under your goals. If they're too specific, then you might find that the work you really want to do, you can't quite slot into one of those goals. So goals could be something along the lines of to inform and educate families, to share ideas for the purpose of problem solving, to maintain two-way communication between families, residents, and the home, to advocate on behalf of all residents and families, and to provide mutual support for family and friends of residents, including those who are new to the home. So those are very broad goals, but they're well written because you can fit many of your activities under there. Your goals are giving you direction. And the example statements I'm giving you can actually be found in one of our sample terms of reference in our Family Council Handbook, Your Guide to Starting and Maintaining a Family Council, which is available on our website. You'll also want to include something about meetings. So how often do you meet? Most councils meet monthly, sometimes with the exception of July, August, maybe December. So you want to say something about how often you meet. And also when. It seems like Tuesday and Wednesday evenings tend to be quite popular. Maybe you alternate between month 1 is Tuesday evening, month 2 is Saturday afternoon. Whatever you decide on, try to keep it consistent and include these things in your terms of reference. Membership. So given that we know that there's something about membership in the Long-Term Care Homes Act, in terms of who can and cannot be a member, and that is quite broad for who's entitled to be a member. A family member or a person of importance to a resident is entitled to be a member of the Family Council. The list of who cannot is really staff, administration, employees of the ministry, and so on. You'll likely want to talk about continued membership, though. And that's providing for people who no longer have a loved one in the home to remain on the council. Most councils do encourage and support people who no longer have a loved one to stay on the council, at least for some period of time. So you could say something along the lines of, members of the St. Andrews Family Council shall be a friend or relative of a resident of St. Andrews. Relatives and friends of a deceased resident are encouraged to continue their active membership. Then you'll want to go on to your leadership structure. And there are many different ways of organizing family council leadership. Some councils prefer the formal officer positions. Some do something that's more informal. They share leadership. Leadership by committee. Do you have an executive and subcommittees? You'll want to include all of that in your terms of reference. So if the officers are a chairperson, co-chair, and secretary, a few bullet points about what those people are responsible for will be really useful. Do you need to have something in there about how committees are established? Or what happens if an officer no longer is able to perform his or her duties, etc. You'll want to talk about elections. How often? We say once a year is ideal. You might need something more often if you've undergone great transition. What's your nomination and voting process? Do you have a nominations committee? Who is that selected by? How do members nominate a person for leadership? These are all different things you'll want to explore as a group and come to an agreement on. How do you make those decisions, though? Is it a vote? Do you want to achieve consensus? Is it 50% plus one, 2/3 majority? There are pros and cons to each of these. All of this is really about what works best for your council, but you will definitely want to ensure that it's in your terms of reference. You might also think about including a section about your staff assistant, really just to establish how often and when that person attends your family council meetings. For some groups, their family council staff assistant attends all meeting, every meeting. So you'd want to document that. So family council staff assistant is invited or requested to attend each meeting in full. Maybe it's that your staff assistant attends the first 15 minutes of every meeting unless invited to stay longer. Maybe they only attend upon specific invitation. They're all valid choices. It's all about what works for you, and this should be developed in conversation with your staff assistant, but it's a good idea for clarity to have that there. And then amendments. Revising your terms of reference is really important to ensure it meets the needs of your council today. So how often do you do that? And what's the process? Do you want to say something along the lines of amendments may be made to these terms of reference at any regular meeting of the council by 2/3 vote, provided the suggested changes have been read at the previous meeting? That's an option. Think about how you want to have that conversation happen, and then write it in your terms of reference. What this document does, the why question we're going to answer, is it's codifying your goals and your objectives, what you want to accomplish as a group. Helps you define those structures, rules, and methods, so how you make decisions. It helps you stay on track. If you have a goal or an activity you're not quite sure about, you reflect on your terms of reference as a group and discuss it. Also, if you're having a difference of opinion, it provides you with direction and information to help you resolve it. It's also a really great document, though, to help you communicate to your members and people outside the council. That mission statement or purpose statement and your goals really help tell people what you do. And it ensures fairness and accountability through how you make decisions and who's in charge of directing your council for now, so your leadership structure. Now the how piece. Couple key considerations. When we remember that a family council is self-governing and that the process of maintaining this group is important, we then understand that it's the outcome and good process. And this good process helps you develop your group. And it helps you through all the stages of group development. Forming, so getting together, that storming piece, which is completely normal as you get to know each other, who you are and what you want to do together. That norming phase where you establish your identity and so on. Performing, where you're at your peak and you're getting things done. And that saying goodbye process. So your terms of reference helps with all of these phases. So how do we actually develop one? These steps, we advise that if you don't currently have a terms of reference, consider this. So get ready. You need to plan to do your terms of reference. So whether it's October 1st is when you'd have that meeting and you say, we're doing our terms of reference now, this date, great. Get your materials together, download the Family Council Handbook, Get your flip charts, markers, and post-it notes ready. Set aside time. It'll take you a few hours, maybe a few meetings. If you're reviewing, it might be 1 to 2 meetings, 1 to 2 hours. If it's new, you'll want to give yourself some longer time. Let people know you're doing it. Invite participation. And then gather your troops. Get everyone together, get the good coffee and muffins, and get to work. I'd say start with either your mission purpose statement or your goals. Those are the pieces that provide you with a lot of direction, but also tend to take the most amount of time. So you could start with your mission and purpose or your goals, then move on to the other sections. You can start by brainstorming. Keywords, thoughts, ideas, phrases that really stand out to you, something you want to include. Put those up on post-it notes, put them on the wall, use a flip chart, arrange things, talk it over. Use the samples that we have. You can copy them out, take a few highlighters, start highlighting things you like, copy, paste, and so on. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, so use the documents we have, but make it something that's truly yours. And then you're going to discuss and draft and review and redraft, and then review and redraft and so on. It might take a few cycles of this till you get to something that everyone supports. Then you'll vote, or however you make an agreement. You'll accept it. Say, put it in your meeting minutes that you've accepted the terms of reference. It's a good idea to put a date on that terms of reference as well, so you know when it comes up for review. And then share it. Post it on your bulletin board. It's a document you should be proud of and proud to share. Share that with your families, your new family council members. Give a copy to your administrator so they know what your mission and goals are. Make sure your staff assistant has a copy. Now, if you're revising it, so let's say that September is always your terms of reference month, you'd want to do a self-evaluation first. So you'd want to have a discussion or a survey about how was this last year for us? Do we want to make any changes? Do we want to change our goals? Do we need to tweak things? So do an evaluation, compile the results, and then have a discussion about it. Then you're going to review and discuss your terms of reference. Here you can go section by section. Does the membership statement still work for us? Yes, no, maybe. Do we need to reword? No. When you get to what you want, check it off, move on to the next section. Here you're going to reach agreement again and accept and minute it. So it's the same as when you're developing it the first time around. And then again, share widely. Same as when you developed it the first time around. Post it and disseminate it widely. It's useful for organization and for promotion. You should also think of it as a cycle. So you're going to schedule and advertise you're doing it. You're actually going to draft and review it. You'll approve it, share it and use it, evaluate and review, and then start all over again. Thinking of it as a cycle, something that you do every year, will help you to remember to do it and ensure that it's meeting your needs at that time. Because there are some key considerations. Think about the process and the outcome. Look for consensus and buy-in. Use clear language. It's not so useful if people can't understand it. And it's a living document. This is something that should be looked at regularly, should be thought of as, well, this worked for us last year, does it still? It's a living document. You'll want to review it regularly. If you've got a change in leadership, a lot of new people coming in or what have you, it's another good opportunity to review it. There. If you do have any more questions or are looking for resources or support on Family Council Terms of Reference or any other aspect of Family Council organization, give us a call, send us an email. We have a local number and a toll-free. You can find us on Facebook. We post lots of interesting articles there as well. It's a great place to ask your fellow council members and staff assistants from across Ontario what they're up to, get their feedback on things that you're doing. So you can find us there, facebook.com/Family Councils Ontario. My email is there if you have questions, just spec@fco.ngo. Same with my executive director. Her email address is there as well. There's our website. If you go to the resources section, there's tons of materials there available to you, including the link to download our Family Council Handbook. And if you don't currently receive our e-bulletin, the link to sign up for our newsletter and other communications is on the home page under Get Our Newsletter. So a big thank you for joining me this evening. Thank you for attending, and I do hope this has proved useful. So thank you from Family Councils Ontario and from myself, Samantha Peck, and signing off for tonight. Have a good evening, everyone.